Hello, this is the Tradesight U.S. Stocks and Futures Market Preview for Tuesday, the 13th of December, 2016, halfway through the month. Here's a look at the ES front month futures contract. This is the daily chart of the futures and broad market, the futures, which is the broad market of the S&P 500. This is, by the way, tomorrow morning the only data we have is import-export prices, but we do start a two-day Fed meeting tomorrow, so we'll see what we get. So futures were higher obviously overnight and then came back a bit and a gap down. Oil higher. We'll look at, let's just go through the indices. We'll talk about everything. So here's a look at crude oil up on the gap up on the news of Trump's potential Secretary of State pick. Friendly ExxonMobil president and friends with Russia, and the market, so the oil market seems to like that. Gold up $2.90. Actually, that can't be right. That's a bad print. That's not showing the actual number here. We're down at, yeah, it's not showing today's data on the chart, but it was up $2.90. S&P ended up losing 2 points for the day. So the S&P cash index is now 12 bars up towards the startup phase, secret sell, I'm sorry, towards the secret exhaustion signal. Keep that in mind. It means all we have to do is basically be a little higher on Tuesday, and we're going to get that 13 sell signal on the market, on the broad market, finally. Nasdaq 100 down 21 points. Still hasn't gotten to closing highs. Gap down and filled the gap basically from the other day. Stocks down 7. Not a big deal there. Biotechs were down 19, returning to the negative bias. The VIX up 89 cents, 12.64 for the close. Trend closes at 0.88. That puts the 10-day moving average right around the same number. Let me get that exact number though. Let me make sure. So, yeah, the 10-day moving average is 0.88. Remember, anything under 0.885 is a sell signal, and we got one right before right after the election, and it hasn't happened. Nothing's happened off that yet. Now let's count the dots backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tomorrow, a big number of 1.3 drops off. That means if we get a low reading like 0.88 or even lower tomorrow, with the 1.35 or so coming off the 10-day moving average, the moving average will move lower. We could get under that 0.85 number. That's very interesting. Nasdaq volume 1.77 billion, a little light. Wasn't a very exciting day. I'll show you the intraday action in a minute. I was hoping for more, but I think the excitement this week is going to be Wednesday and Thursday. Advanced decline ratio negative 1198 on the Nasdaq, negative 863 on the New York. So pretty bad market breadth. A lot of stocks down. Google down $1.50. No big deal. Apple down 65 cents. Amazon down 8.54. Netflix down 5 cents after that 13 sell signal last week. Here's a look at the Tesla gain 25 cents, pretty flat. Bonds traded at new lows again on the TLT, even though we ended up closing up 22 cents. And of course, the all-important Dow Jones Industrial Average up 39 points. 6 candles towards a secret exhaustion. A lot of that's because of Goldman Sachs, and it's been up, and that's pushed the Dow higher, although Goldman Sachs was down today. Got that 9-bar startup phase on the Goldman Sachs completed. All right, let's take a look at the intraday action. See what happened. So here you go. This is the ES. You know, so you had a flat opening, tried to push higher, stalled out, came back. I mean, and really the rest of the day was pretty boring. If you look at that, take out that one spike up that counts for about 3 or 4 points, and the rest of the day is about 7 points on the S&P, which is very light. Nasdaq side, also pretty boring. Gap down in an attempt to fill the gap. You don't see on this chart, but the high of the day was the lower break and the value rate low. Couldn't get into that area, and then just sort of went flatline. So not a very exciting day. We'll move on here. See if we get something a little more interesting Tuesday as the Fed meeting starts. Now remember, it's a lot about this Fed meeting. Everybody's expecting the rate hike. I'm sure it'll happen. Looking for the quarter point. Bonds have obviously tanked. Does that force their hand to more than a quarter point? I don't know about that. But obviously, it's the commentary going forward about the economy moving from here. We'll see what we get. And then we've got options unraveling. This is triple expiration. And so a lot of interesting stuff this week. Hopefully a good Wednesday, Thursday is what I'm looking forward to. Charts as usual brought to you by eSignal. If you've not yet taken a trial of our services, feel free to do so. We will help you out for a couple of weeks, although you might want to hold out till next year because this is going to get slow after this week. But we'll extend the trials if you do take one. Have a great trading Tuesday.